Hello everyone. This is my first day of filming, but as you can tell, not my first day of coloring. I could not help myself. I wanted to get started this weekend and I just wanted to have the freedom. And that's, after all, we're just doing color check-ins, not the whole thing. So what I did though is these are all watercolors. You know, I was enjoying using the watercolors last week so much that I got curious. And of course, this weekend I spent the time coming up with what I kind of think for my color plan. And I want to do, go ahead and I'm going to say activate. It sounds so, I don't know, superhero-ish. The colors here and see where I'm at, because I had kind of an idea of something I might want to do. So I want to get these all kind of going. As far as seeing what the colors are going to look like, I'm very anxious to kind of see how that starts going, and then see if something that I thought of today, which is Monday, I'm sorry, today is Tuesday the 11th, that I might be able to do. And if I can't, then I'll go back to my original plan. So, which isn't a whole lot different. It's just, I'm just babbling. So I'm just going to let you watch me go through and paint these out with water. I am listening to a perilous undertaking. It's a Veronica Speedwell book, and I love those books. And listening to them on audio is just so fun. It is second in a series, so I'm hitting one of my marks that I wanted to do for 2022. So let me get all kind of situated, and I'll bring you down a little closer, and then you can watch the magic happen. I know you're thrilled to do that. Hold on. So I'm going to chat with you for just a little bit while I start this. So this is week 2, and it is for the dates of January 10th through the 16th in the weekly planner by Johanna Basford. Let's see if we can get some. Come on. You can do it. See if it's going to actually focus for me. Hold on. All right, now I got it in focus. Sometimes it just needs a talking to, I guess. All right, so the color combination right now is, I've done a little bit of the purple color of that Koh-i-Noor here in between the flowers on the Hydrangea. And we're gonna try to get those going. So I kind of wanted this to be like a late summer, if not fall kind of picture, is how I was imagining it. And then I got really excited about these colors, and I started thinking, well, maybe we'll do just more vivid colors. And I was really enjoying using the watercolors as just coloring with them. They're very enjoyable. I was surprised. Some of them had a little bit of what I would call, I don't know, kind of like a scratchiness, but not really. Most of the time they're very, very, I don't know, smooth. And of course the pigment goes right down. I was being really gentle because I didn't want to push really hard and add a lot of deep color, because I wasn't sure where I was going with this picture. So that's normally it. Now, I am going to go ahead and try yet my third set of pencils. Now, I know I keep telling you guys I don't have very many supplies here. All my supplies can contain in a very small box, kind of is the idea. So I have, and I may be saying this wrong, Tombow Irojiten colors. I have tried them in a couple books, and though I like the color when I finally get it down, they've been kind of a learning curve for me. So I wanted to try them here in Johanna Basford's book. Like I said, it's going to be a year of experimenting in this book. Yeah, my husband heard me talking the other day about the watercolors and was like, so when are those going to show up? And I just laughed. I said, I'm trying not to buy them. I might be asking for them, though, for Christmas or once we get moved into the apartment, because I really like these watercolors. But it's also told me I need to get out my Derwent Inktense ones and mess with those, and then also give a good try with the Albert Dur ones from Faber-Castell that I have, which is not a full set. It's just some oops buys that I did before. I think I shared that with you guys. Right now I've got a video that is exporting, so this is a perfect time for me to sit down and just let myself do some coloring and chat with my friends. It's been so nice to see some of the coloring folks back on the channel and on my Instagram and things like that, so very happy about that. I've also got planning videos that have popped up, and you'll be seeing those. Just getting all my books involved, because it takes a whole bookshelf full of books, various books, to keep this book nester entertained. All right, so I'm going to flip it now upside down, because that'll be just easier. This is pretty much dried. I'll let that dry down there, but I'll start kind of from the top. So I'm going to start up here. I'm very interested to see what color this ends up kind of producing. So I was thinking the other day when I was coloring with these, that I do need to get out my Derwents. And I love the Derwent Inktense because, of course, once they're activated, they're actually ink and they're permanent. Now, I have not seen tons of movement of these if I hit them accidentally with extra water once they've dried, which for me, I'm happy about. I don't want movement necessarily. And I think it is the paper, definitely, that I'm using is going to, not allow for a lot of movement because it's not watercolor paper. But I kind of don't want that movement once I get going. But also, again, I'm not putting tons of water anywhere on these. And when I was talking about earlier how these Koh-i-Noors are smooth when I put them on, I'm like, why am I thinking that's something special? Because I've not used any other watercolors except for the Inktense. And the Inktense, I remember, they're not as smooth. And that's probably because of what they're made out of. So they have usually a little bit more scratchiness to them, but boy, their colors are so vivid. But I'm enjoying these colors and getting to know them and know that just layering them I can intensify. I'm really happy with this color here as a base. I wasn't, you don't know until you paint them out or put the water on them. I think this is kind of an interesting look right now. Now my plan is to go in with my those Irojitens and work at some point. Here you go, ready for another spin? There's another spin on these. And I've already used them to do that little leaf right there, and they're behaving much better in this book than when I've used them in some other ones. So I think I've used them in I have to, you know what, I'll put the book up here. I'm not 100% sure which one it is, and oh God, it's on the tip of my tongue, the name of the artist. She's very well known here in ColorTube, and she's actually very active here in ColorTube as well. So I'll make sure and put that up there, but sorry, old lady brain fog there, cannot think, and I'm horrible with names anyways. So it'll be interesting after working with these to then bring out those Derwents and see. What I'm going to do for like this, and what I want to do for the background, because what I was thinking of doing the background was kind of a mix of just blending some of the different colors, as if in the far background you still saw flowers, but they were, you know, kind of blurred out. So I'm not really sure where I'm going to go from there. I just want to make sure I've got everything before I go any further. All right, well, I think that is going to be it for the watercolor. So that was them activated. I like the way they look, but I have so much more to do. But I thought I'd let you see that little part and see where I'm going. Oh, I don't like that. Seems awfully rough. Now this is what I mean. I'm wetting them again, but they are not, I mean, they're not moving around very much, which is fine. All right, so this again is the color scheme that I'm looking at. These are all the Irojitens that I've pulled. Let's see, where is my, let me pull you up and you can see what we're gonna be working with this week. If I'm 100% honest, I think picking out the colors and doing this page is probably one of the most satisfying and enjoyable time. Again, there's all this hope that this is going to work really well, and nothing has proven it wrong at this point. So for this picture this week, there we go, and my handy dandy little pencil bag, these are the colors that I've chosen. They're all from those Irojiten. I have the dictionaries. I'll pop in a picture of them. They're really cool, and I love them. It's like having colors in a book. And I'm hoping, after having some experience that I have had so far with on this little leaf here, I think it's going to be a good experience, but I really want to try them out before I make that decision. But as you can see, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. There's 18 colors to be, and then there's my little brush. And then here in my Mondeluz 12 set of Aquarelle colored pencils, I'm using that one, that one, that one. I did use some of the greens, the purple, and the yellow. So, and then if I need to, I'll use black. Actually, I think I've already used black. So basically those colors there and there are the ones I'm using. And that is right now what I'm planning on. Of course, always with the reserve to bring in a Posca, because that's what I like to do usually at the end. And then we'll see where we go from there. So I'm going to go and check on my video. And then I think I'm going to sit and listen to a book for a little while longer and start coloring, or start getting some more color in here. In fact, I might even play with some of the colors. So hope you have something fun that you're getting to color, something you're excited about doing, you know, and I love having these little check-ins with you guys. It's been wonderful, like I said, to connect back, and I will see you tomorrow for another little colorful check-in. All right, so this is the final day that I'll be coloring, and as you can see, I've gotten quite a lot, and this has really taken on what I consider autumnal colors, and I've loved it. And a lot of it came whenever I made the decision to go ahead and do my hydrangea as if it's starting to dry. I have been trying to figure this out for years. I love the look of a dried hydrangea, and the thing that gets me is that I want that watercolor look. And of course, now that I am using watercolors, once I started playing around a little bit, I thought, you know what, I think I can finally do it. So I have this one to finish up, and I thought that I would just kind of let you guys see just briefly what I'm doing. And I'm just going to do probably one of the, well, they are the petals actually, to show you what I'm doing, and then I'll show you the rest. But this has turned into another long, I'm really wondering if my color and chats, if I should be breaking them up or just planning on that they're going to be 2 episodes and they're going to be go out one day after the other. But I've been really enjoying having you guys along, and of course I can't do anything simple. And there was a lot of techniques on this page that actually now I'm like, these kind of would have been fun to share with you guys and had you come along with me. One of them being the background, where I've just simply taken the watercolors and kind of, you know, very carefully, you know, carefully scribbled, if that's possible, onto the page, but keeping some space in between them so that all the colors wouldn't just run together and just merge. And the idea being this is a hedge, or it's a deep flower bed. It's, oh, what do they call the English ones? The, a perennial bed, or one of those, and that this would keep going, and so these colors would repeat. I'm still toying, but I think I'm going to leave it about coloring in like the sky, but I just don't want any blue. I really, all right, I lied. There's a little bit of blue in here to make the white, which I'll be working on those too. But I really don't want any blue in this at this point. I want to keep it to the colors that I chose. I don't want to have to add a whole lot of colors. So I'm just going to work on this hydrangea, trying to finish him up. This one still even has a little bit more that I want to do, but I want to kind of show you briefly what I'm doing. All right. So what I did first and foremost was take this amazing brown watercolor. Again, here is the brand and all the information, and since I can't pronounce it because I'm sure I am really botching up the name, there's all your information. Freeze frame it and write it down. Of course, it's down below as well because that's also what I do. But the lovely brown, which is brown 258, or also known as 3720/32. What I don't know which one's right. Okay. And what I did is where you see like there's just these little darker marks. So let me just do it on this one. We're going to do it on the edge here. And I'm pressing pretty hard. Now I want to go ahead and make this a really dark middle. When I went out to look at for inspiration, as I always do, the dried ones that I saw, they're actually quite dark towards the connection point to that little bit right there. So we're just going to kind of keep that going with that. Then all I'm going to do is take my little water brush and I'm just wetting it down and then pulling some of it out, and it brings that color out so that you get that gradient in the petal. Brown is a perfect color with this kind of off-white paper. It just works really well. So yeah, everything turned really autumnal, which I think is interesting. And I think once I got these colors going, I was like, how perfect. I thought this was going to be a brighter picture, but then I was like, no, it just feels like it should be. You know, the hydrangeas are losing their color. Everything else is deepening in the color as it changes. That's that really late summer kind of feel. Look at me, always making stories up of what I'm working on. That's where my mind goes. That's why it's so restful for me, because my mind isn't thinking about what I need to pick up at the grocery store, or you know, did we do this, did we do that, did we pay taxes or not, you know, stuff like that. That's not entering my mind. It's more, you know, I go down the storyline of what time of year and what's going on with these beautiful flowers. And the funny thing is that at some point I am going to get up enough courage, don't believe me, to just use these straight and just keep building. But with having the smaller set, I mean, it's a good introduction, that's for sure, but it's not enough colors from at this point. And I know I should be able to make every color that I need using this basic set. But I'm just now playing with watercolors seriously in this book. And to be honest, I think I'm going to continue, because it's really allowed me to do some much quicker finishing of projects, and it's spurring me on to, you know, to color more. Before, what would happen is, if I was worried about filming it, then, you know, I wanted you to see almost every step at some point, because I know that's what people usually like. And I find it helpful too whenever I see that. The problem with those is that, you know, going through a project takes a really long time. And I always like to be able to show you how the project turned out. And with me being in this small apartment, it's not like I can work on a project on a daily basis and leave it out, and then do other projects as well. You know, it's either, I can't leave it out, number one. So this doing one project doesn't allow for me to have multiple projects that then I can put out on social media for your consumption instead. That's why you're only getting this one. Now, I am doing other things, and I'll probably share next week. I'm doing just this really simple color by number, but it is a lot of fun. I'll show you probably next week in one of these what I've been up to. But it's been a very fun, quasi-mindless, but I still ended up blending because, you know, I can't help myself but blend. All right, I think that's everything for this, and now I need to let it dry really well before I start going on it. I will bring you back for that once we start putting down the colors. I'll talk about the colors that I've chosen, and then I'll just start showing you how I did some of the coloring for the hydrangea up here to turn that one into similar. All right, see you in just a bit once this dries. So you may have seen that I've done quite a lot of going around with my Posca pen and doing my highlighting. Johanna's lines can get quite thick, and to kind of combat that, I often will do an outline of Posca. Now, I did do it down here just a little bit, just to lighten that up, but in general I do, and I love the effect that it's giving for this right here. I still have some, I will go back over in some cases, like those are too, this one's too intense for me. So I'll go back in with my colored pencils and kind of go over that, similar to the blue that I did last week, just to knock it down a bit. But we're here for the hydrangea right now. Now, the colors that I'm using, again, are the Irojitens, and I don't know what all I've got on these beautiful white pencils. Probably, actually, I bet it's watercolor. Okay, so we're just kind of doing a mix of these, and I am just going to list these colors down below because we're only going to do one. I will say the name of the color just so that you guys know which ones we're using. But we are just going to work on one little spot. Now, I like to go in with whatever my darkest is going to be. I also like these to be fairly sharp. I've started to really, again, just because of how small things are. And the first one I'm going to go for is Mulberry. Now, I'm just going to say the names of them, Mulberry D-9. So that tells you what group they're with. And seriously, just kind of going in and choosing just randomly some sides with it. Been using this Mulberry for kind of grays and almost as a black to darken some things, and I think that's really helped keep the cohesiveness versus going and getting a black. Now going out and looking at the pictures again, it looks like there's a lot of color that's always towards the end, and then closer in it actually gets a little bit lighter, but I don't really pay that much attention. I'm just kind of doing random. So let me just do a couple around here. Next, I'm going to be coming in with the Plum, and that is D11. Ooh, it's still a little wet, so you know what? I need to be careful because I don't want to ruin. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, you have a little bit of moisture, I guess. That's interesting. It's causing the Irojitens to, wow, crumble. This is weird. Why is that happening? You know what? I just realized I was, oh man. Yeah, I'm gonna have to stop. I put these in a jar that I did not realize had a little bit of water in the bottom, and these have sat in the water. So I'm gonna have to wait and do this tomorrow because I don't wanna, it's causing them to crumble. So note to self, do not put them in a jar that has a little bit, and that's where the brown was coming because I also had my watercolor in there. I just didn't realize there must have been just, I mean, there's a teeny tiny bit, I don't know if you can even see it, of water in there. So I'm gonna have to leave this till tomorrow because I want these to dry out. Wow, what a mess. Okay, interesting. Don't put them in water. All right, here we are back. Hopefully my pencils have dried. So just to let you know, yesterday what had happened was, and this is a different jar completely, because I really want to make sure it was dry. I had put my pencils down like that in a jar just to kind of keep them all together. And at the bottom of the jar, there was a little bit of tiny amount of water. And the tips, I did not realize they're wood, duh. They soaked up water. So this one, I think it's that one right there. I can see a little bit of red. When I went to try to use it, it just started making a crumbly mess. Something I had never even thought about, you know, because I never thought I'd put my pencils in water. So don't do that. No pencils in water. So I'm hoping they're dried out, and I'm hoping I can do something with this mess because it got messy and kind of messed with the paper even because it was a mess. So let's see if we can, you know, take a little, use a little bit of this and maybe take away all the focus on that big ugly thing. So I'm going to bring you in. There we go. All right. So we are going to try this again. And I am going to go ahead, and a lot of this is going to be sped up. This particular color and chat has turned in a longer, but I don't think it justifies a second one. At least I don't want to have to do a second one. because I think one is enough. So I'm going to be kind of speed throughing this, but I did want to show you each individual, well, not each individual, one individual, kind of how I'm just kind of adding these colors in. So we had started, when some of this mess happened, with the Mulberry. And you know what? I need my glasses. So again, these are the Tombow Irojiten. This is Mulberry D9. And all I'm doing is going in and just putting some really, yeah, okay. They're behaving a little bit better. Just a little. Imagine that. Just like on the edges is kind of how I start, and then I'll add as I go along. Now, when I'm on the very edges, I press a little bit harder. Whenever I start just adding kind of color places, of course, I start with a light. Now, some things happening with these pencils. They are doing fabulous once I've put any type of water paint over this paper. They're doing really well. But the darker pigments are easy, well, yeah, are in general less, or they're easier to put down. There's a lot more that comes out of them. And the pigment lands on the paper a lot easier. So, and then I go in and I kind of, and this is where I think we start having, yeah, this, I can tell. Look how dull that is. See if you can, yeah, see, it's pretty dull. Because that's where it started crumbling. So we're going to do a quick little sharpen and make sure that we're okay. Okay, I did have to go down quite a ways to be able to get a point that wasn't crumbly. So we're going to see how this is deja vu. Here we are again. Okay, yeah, behaving much better. Behaving like not soggy wet Irojiten. Oh. And I say that and we have a break. I don't want you to judge these pencils right now. This is not fair. They have not done any of that breaking and stuff. And chipping and all that until I stuck them in water. So let's not be too harsh on these guys right now. Operator error. And, oh, I don't know. Yeah, that's Plum D11. I doubt you can read that. These have been fabulous colors, though. I've been really enjoying them. I have to remember this combo for, especially once we start getting into the fall. All right, the next one I'm going to do is Maroon D12. I've used maroon a lot in this page, and it kind of gives a berry color a little bit more, and I like it. It's a good mixing one, and I am going to go ahead and go back and layer, and then also put in a little bit harder. So again, kind of around the edges. I noticed when looking at pictures that the edges had a lot of colors often in them, even if the rest of it didn't. Another color I've been using is the Chestnut Brown. Again, just to kind of go back into where I do have some browns and darken it up a little bit. And then also for some blending, because you're going to have, you know, it coming out into the brown a little bit. So. And then for one more color, if you have the set Oh, I think I've already used the Mulberry. Yeah, I used the Mulberry to begin with. Actually, that's okay. And let's see. Now you can go in with this Crimson D1. It is interesting in that the crimson I would always think is kind of red, but it really picks up on these purples really well, and but also kind of the browns. It's a really great color. Again, another one that I've been using a lot throughout the All right, so the last thing I want to kind of show you is then I often go in with either these two little greens that I have. So it's kind of D4, which is maple sugar, or mustard D15. So we're going to go with the maple sugar first. And that little bit of green is something that I notice. It's a dry green, but I don't know, like a dried flower green. I think you see it, and I saw it a lot when I was looking at my pictures of my hydrangeas, and really, it also works with the brown that we used earlier to do the watercolor, the initial part. So again, if I was doing leaves, fall leaves, I think these color combinations would work beautiful for that too. But I definitely don't know if I'd ever do another hydrangea without doing this, because I really love the color combination. And then just for fun, and this is a new pencil I added in, particularly when I was doing the flowers and things that have kind of a pinky tone, like this little guy down here. And it is just the rose pink. It's P11, and I'm just putting little hits of it here and there. And the best thing about this whole picture that I'm loving is it is coming off, particularly these, the hydrangeas are coming off as if they were watercolors, and I've always loved that look, but don't have the watercolor experience. Much more comfortable with my pencils than watercolor. But as I said, I think that there's a full set of these Koh-i-Noors in my future. Just not until after we move, at least. All right, and the last thing I kind of want to show you is, hold on, I'm still doing a bit of blending here and there. And I do use this pink kind of as a blender. All right, the last little thing I wanted to show you was, as you saw, I did Posca here. That really kind of highlights it, and I want to show you just how I'm doing that. So this is a very small PC 1MR. It's a 0.7 millimeter pencil, or Posca. So it is the smallest one that I've been able to find. I like Posca better than gel. If I can get it flowing. And all I do is, see those black lines? I'm trying to get rid of them. Just because they, for lack of a better word, they break up my visual. And I want the edge of the flowers to kind of disappear. And by doing this, it gives almost a highlight. And if I don't get all of it, or I just make the line look even thinner, that's enough for me. It's not about blacking out all the lines. It's about just breaking them up a little bit, especially on these lighter pieces here. The dark spots on the dark side, I don't have to do it so much, if you look right there, because you aren't going to notice that black line. And if I'm doing dark colors, a lot of times I don't even have to do this. It's more for things that are lighter colored. And then I'm going to go back in over these once they've dried. And I will use here, and I'll show you in a second. So as you can see, it just kind of lightens that dark line a little bit so that it's not as prominent. And it allows the edge of the coloring to be what tells you there's an edge there instead of a line. And I even do it sometimes around here, around the little, because those are some pretty heavy lines. And again, you don't have to do all of them. It's just doing, it's kind of helps break up that illusion that you have more like a petal that's ending in color versus a line, a heavy line. So let me show you here what I'm talking about. Now what I will do is go in and probably have a bunch of pencils. We're going to take in the plum, and I'm just going to go in and kind of go over, particularly where over that. Hopefully you can see. It darkens it down, but there's still a bit of a highlight. And I'm really only doing this in the plum area where I know that there's some darker color. So you can go in, and if there's ones that are standing out more than others that you really, and you can go back over very gently with your pencils, because if you push down too hard, they're going to, they'll kind of scrape off the paint, because that's all Posca is just an acrylic paint. So I'm probably going to go around mostly to dull it down just a little bit with this. I think this one is the maple sugar. So just to start deadening down some of those. And do the same thing. And the pink is probably a really good color. Again, do it lightly so that you don't scrape off all the white. So you just play around. And again, you don't have to do all the whites. You can leave some of the white. It's really just your preference. It might be if your eye is drawn particularly to it and you're like, oh, you know what, that could be deadened down just a little bit. Dampened. So I'm going to keep playing. Let me bring you out. I'm going to keep playing on this picture, finish it up, take a picture, get this filmed, uploaded, and scheduled. I hope you enjoyed it. This has been a great week for coloring. It's pushed me. I'm going to go in, actually, even while we're just chatting right now, I'm going to go back in and really dull down some of these really white kind of colors, but what's nice is it's also deadened down those, or dampened down. Why do I keep saying deadened? And sound rather morbid. Just kind of make those black lines disappear. That's the idea, because there wouldn't be that kind of a delineation. It's all done with light and color and in nature, so it helps just break it up a little bit. So anyway, I've been enjoying doing this so much. This page was I thought it was going to be, you know, so simple, and it was in a lot of ways. However, you know, I did learn my lesson about don't put your pencils in water, silly girl. But also just kind of, you know, using these watercolors as bases and then going from there and taking the guide from where they puddle and pool and go, oh, that's a neat little shadow. So I will most likely continue to use these watercolors in this book because it does speed up overall the amount of time I'm spending on these pages. I'm still can't quite let myself, you know, just be free and do something quick and fast, and not 1,000 layers. But it is causing me not to have to do as many layers, so that's something to be thought about. But I have plenty of things to be playing with, which is something I really, really enjoy. So as you can see here, going in and deadening around that white really helps with this particular, what is it I'm just using? This is the crimson. It's just amazing. It actually works so well with so many of these colors. You still see the petals separated, but they're not separated by a black line. They're just separated by what almost looks like a highlight, which they would be lighter than maybe the one down below, the flower, the petal underneath. So, all right. So that's it for this week. I think like I said, I have probably about I'm only going to color on this for another 30, 40 minutes or so. And then you should be able to see the finished product, what we ended up with this week. Next week is really unusual, guys. It's more of one of those wallpaper things, and I'm really going to be looking at it as wallpaper, so I'm probably going to go out and get some inspiration looking at like the William Morris type wallpaper and some other ones and see if I can figure out, oh, there's an ant. Oh, there's two. It's bugs. Oh, there they are too. So this will be really different. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this one, but I will pick out the color scheme just like usual, and we will be back here next week for our next coloring catch-up. So let me know what you're coloring. Let me know what's going on, and let me know if there's anything you'd like me to do differently with these, or maybe you'd like to see more of or something. I don't know, but I'm having a lot of fun, and it's great to be back with Color Tube. So as I always say, keep coloring those pages. Until next time, bye for now.